Welcome to St. Augustine this evening, the Mike Davis Show, where we have a show loaded with a lot of fun for you and a lot of craziness. And we're going to try to make sense of the craziness that's going on in the world. And we're going to celebrate winning. Winning, and winning. Yesterday was a winning day. Today's a winning day. We're just going to keep celebrating winning.
All the wins.
All the wins. We've got all kinds of great wins. I've got Amanda here with me today, fresh off of her debut on the morning show.
Yep.
Is that the first ever morning show?
That's the first time I've been on it and haven't produced it.
So first time the morning show's had a woman guest. Okay, just as long as we get that right. Just as long as we've got that straight.
Co-host?
Yes, this is first time there has been a woman co-host on the morning show.
Yeah.
Kind of nice.
Yeah, it was
breaking
fun.
records everywhere. Have you been on the midday show?
I have. I've only produced the midday show.
Davey.
So I haven't been a guest host yet.
Davey. So have not been a guest.
No.
Was Davey okay? Did he survive his night of debauchery?
He had a lot of fun. It was a great show, he said. So that's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I am very, very glad for him. And it's Wednesday, so we have the youngest person on the network with us as well. Say hello, Levi.
Hello. Happy to be here.
We are glad to have you here. We're going to make some money, and then we're going to get into all kinds of great topics, including winning, which Levi is going to lead off the winning conversation. So Salomon Services, it's the premier place for personal training in St. Augustine. They specialize in both youth and adult training classes. They have small group strength, fitness, and development classes, athletic development for both team and individual sports performance. If you've been injured, they can help you get in better shape so you're back on the court or the field or the track stronger and better. They do this in their state-of-the-art center, which has both indoor and outdoor turf areas, and every single one of their coaches is certified through the National Strength and Conditioning Association. Give them a call today, 904-461-9945, or visit their website, salomonservices.com. Make an appointment today. It's not too late to get into shape this year.
Absolutely.
2024 is over.
It is. These neighborhood diners are more than just a place to eat. They are where hospitality blooms and friends gather. Bring your own or make new ones. The coffee is always hot, the smiles are genuine, and the food tastes like home. Every meal is a chance to make memories, share stories, and create bonds that last a lifetime. It's not just about the food on the plate, but the community that comes together around the table. Come see us today at Moultrie Creek Diner or Anastasia Diner. Tell them Andy sent you.
And we have Solar Stick Inc., established in 2006. Solar Stick is a local portable power company proudly committed to American manufacturing, constant innovation, and creating jobs right here in St. Augustine, Florida. Solar Stick's focus on providing solutions for self-sufficiency helps users all over the world complete missions and save lives. Solar Stick, changing lives, saving lives, and reviving American manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and let's get real for a second. Finding a great dentist is like finding the perfect beach spot in St. Augustine. Rare, refreshing, and absolutely worth it. Enter Dr. Stephanie Kinsley and her team at Palencia Dental, where going to the dentist feels more like visiting a spa than sitting in the dreaded chair. Dr. Stephanie isn't your ordinary dentist. She's a community superstar. When she's not transforming smiles at Palencia Dental, she's singing her heart out in the village church choir or volunteering her time as the director of dentistry at the all-important Wildflower Clinic, providing dental care to those who need it most. This is someone who doesn't care about your teeth. She doesn't just care about your teeth. She cares about you.
She cares about your teeth.
She cares about your teeth. She absolutely does care about your teeth. I messed that up so I could emphasize absolutely does. And let's talk about the experience at Palencia Dental from the moment you walk in. You'll wonder if you accidentally booked a luxury retreat. Relaxing atmosphere, check. State-of-the-art technology, double check. A dentist who can sing and make you laugh while crafting the perfect smile, that's a triple check. So why settle for just any dentist when you can have someone who's wildly talented, deeply caring, and 100% committed to your comfort? Visit PalenciaDental.com or call 904-826-4343. Book an appointment today. Palencia Dental, where your smile gets the star treatment it deserves. Again, 904-664-5254. All right, we got all kinds of numbers in there. Davey put all kinds of numbers
There's
in there.
2 numbers on that read.
Davey did that.
Yes.
I'm blaming Davey Hartzell for that.
I'm looking for the number.
All right, you're going to find the number, and then we're going to fix that. And then when Davey comes back on next week and I'm not here, you can just give him. So, yes. All right. It's been an interesting day. Your morning show debut was amazing.
Thanks.
I loved how they went right to a topic they shouldn't go to right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow you got involved in a conversation about cockroaches, which I thought was, way to go, boys. That's the way you treat your female co-hosts.
So Pete didn't actually expect me to show up.
Yes.
So Rick was here producing, getting ready for the show, and Pete was doing show prep, and I was the next one to walk in. And he was like, "Oh, you actually showed up." I was like, "You can't dare me, man." And so, yeah, he didn't factor me into show prep because he didn't expect me to make it.
Well, I think you flustered him.
I love it.
I've never seen him struggle with reads before. I mean, when I was starting out, I was like, that guy, he just does it one time. He's amazing. He's absolutely awesome. And then I watched the day, and I think just the fact that you were in the studio had him completely befuddled.
He's not used to having someone on this side of him.
Yes.
For the morning show. And so I think it just threw off his energy to have me here.
He didn't have the right day reads. He didn't have the right reads. He stumbled through Levi did his first read of Solar Stick. We gave it to him a few minutes before. I have to say, no offense to Pete, who's a master at what he does. Levi rocked it today for his first read. Pete for his 7 billionth read. Kind of,
That wasn't my first read. That was like my second or third.
Yeah.
I'm helping you out here. And
Solar Stick's a little bit of a tongue twister, and you did great with it.
Solar Stick is. If we give him Cedar Shake shingles, then he'll really be.
That'll rock your world.
Listen, reads are simple. It's all about inflection in your voice at the right moment on the read, and you're good to go.
Yes. 100% correct. And that's what Pete does so well.
Yes.
I mean, I just marveled at him whenever I would listen to him on the radio and was trying to get into doing shows. And I was like, he's so good. Yeah. He's just so good.
And he is amazing.
He is. Everybody's allowed an off day. First one I've seen Pete have in his lifetime.
Yeah.
Must be because the Bills lost.
One of his reads didn't make it into the show map. And so he had to go back and forth between show maps to make sure that he had everything that he needed. And that's what got him all shook up.
If you just have a book with the reads in them, it's always there. You just pull the reads out, do the reads, and move on. Drop the reads on the book, pick the book up after the show, load them back in.
Not everyone has your Loctite system.
No, I know. It's a very simple system. And there's no, what is that thing? That's the teleprompter? Did that come from the White House? Did Pete get that on eBay?
No, Ron DeSantis was on it when I first got here. So maybe it came from the governor's office.
Who knows? I think he got that on eBay from the White House. That's what I think. And by the way, I certainly hope that Pete put in for White House correspondent credentials. Apparently thousands, I want to say 74,000 people applied. And if the White House was able to handle that many applications, they did better than the start of Obamacare. Because I think that thing was a bomb for like months.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be fun to watch ABC and CBS and CNN and even Fox News maybe get pushed to the back row a little bit. I'm going to enjoy that. I'm going to enjoy. I think they took the press secretary's seat and they're giving that to online bloggers. And they're going to, that way they didn't offend anybody. I wish they'd offended the press. I mean, but let's go. Come on. We're going to offend everybody. Let's just offend everybody.
Yeah. I mean, why hold back? Just
why hold
offend
back?
The whole crew.
I know. Let's go. Just tell them all, tomorrow's not your day.
Yeah.
We're bringing in these other people, and we're going to see how they do. And you'll have to check them if you can source them.
Well, maybe we can alternate the way I do with my kids. Like you get even days, you get odd days, and then you can swap them, and then everyone gets the front row on occasion.
But you're
old media and new media.
I'm trying to figure out how you're swapping kids because you're married to your husband. You're married.
I am
and you're
married.
Talking about, well, you get the kids this day and you get the kids those days.
No.
So
when the kids have a limited resource, like front seat, riding in the front seat of the car.
So you're talking, okay.
Like one kid gets even days, one kid gets odd days. I only have two old enough to be in the front seat, so it works.
That's a horrible way to solve that. You let them fight it out. It's survival
That's what my
of the
husband
fittest.
does.
I agree.
It's survival of the fittest. That's how you get them tough.
That's what my husband does. He lets them fight it out, and whoever calls it first, they're the ones that get the front seat.
Yours is the most unfair system I've ever heard.
I'd make them play rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Unfair. Completely unfair.
Okay.
Yeah, just like that punch game where if you flinch, then you get hit and you got to be in the back seat.
Then I have to deal with a crying kid with a bruised arm.
Or you go old-fashioned way, thumb war.
I always thought that it was easy to cheat in a thumb war. It was too easy.
The biggest person can win because it's easy to pin it.
If you got big hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what that means?
Marco Rubio never won.
I have very large hands, so it doesn't just mean that.
Big gloves.
Marco Rubio never won a thumb war, according to Donald
That's
Trump,
what I heard.
ever in the history of Donald
Not
Trump did he
once.
win.
Not ever.
No. So, I was glad that you were on the show.
Yeah, I was too. It was fun.
And it was kind of fun watching Troy find out that his hatchback was open.
Well, so you asked him if he wanted you to close it,
Mhm.
and then it was open when we left. So did you ever close it?
I didn't make it down there. Well, he said yes, but then I was in the middle of another conversation and I couldn't leave the office. It was a really important conversation, and it's not my hatchback. So I tried, and all he had to do, apparently, if you hit a button, it opened. So he could have hit the button from here and closed it.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Fatal flaw in his fob is that it's just press and hold the button to open it. Mine, you have to press it twice to open it. So you would have had to like adjust your weight twice to get it to open. But his is just a press and hold.
Yes.
And that's the problem.
Mm-hmm. He has lots of problems. He has lots of
That's
problems.
the problem.
That's the problem.
only
He has
one.
lots of problems. No. Did anybody watch any of the RFK hearings today?
I did not.
I only watched a clip.
What clip did you watch?
It was early in the questioning, and I don't remember. I was in the middle of doing Latin. My bad.
Which made more sense, Latin or the questioning?
Probably Latin.
Yeah, I'm going with Latin. I got to listen to a couple of senators. They were up against, I guess, a vote that they had to go vote for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I love when they make them work. I love it when they actually have to work and be on a schedule. I think it's
busy
awesome.
right now.
I know. Keep it up. Don't let them. Don't let the pedal up. So, rather than ask questions, both the senators, I have no idea whether they were Republican or Democrat. I couldn't tell by the line of questioning. Just went on and 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 on, and then said, "I need a yes, no, because I'm running out of time."
So I heard a theory on that. And the ones that filibustered and didn't ask questions, what I heard, they were Democrats. And they're kind of giving him a win because there's no gotcha moment. There's no soundbite that could be used against him. So maybe they're signaling like, I'm on your side. I'm not going to fight too hard on this. And if you need the vote, you've got it. So, maybe them droning on and filibustering was a gift to him.
I watched, before I came downstairs for the show, Elizabeth Warren's end of her questioning. And it was the same ridiculous stuff she did with Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
And she was basically screaming at him. I'm like, not the way to win friends, make friends and win and influence people. Not the way. It's a great way to show people that you're unhinged and you're unbalanced.
She's probably never read that book.
She was trying to get him to say something and he wouldn't say it. And she got so frustrated. He just stopped. He took a nice long drink of his coffee and just sat there and said, go ahead, keep being basically a jackass. And then Bernie Sanders was the other one, telling him he had to call a company that he's no longer on the board of that was selling onesies for babies that said unvaccinated and unafraid, no vaccine, no problem. And so he's yelling at RFK and RFK. I don't have anything to do with the company.
Yeah.
I mean, but unfortunately, I know you want government to work that way where you get to tell people everything you want them to do and they have to do it, but that's really not the way the Constitution's set up, Senator. So no, I can't call them and tell them when I have no authority in the place to do what I want them to do.
Bernie Sanders can make that call himself. He can call and complain. Guess what? Everyone has the right to complain.
That's true.
It doesn't mean anything's going to happen. Doesn't mean they're going to listen to you. But what I don't love about Elizabeth Warren is that she's kind of feeding into the stereotype of women shouldn't be in positions of power because they're too emotional. It's like, can you approach him with logic and reason
You
rather than
spent way too much time on
screaming
the
at him?
morning show today because you've turned into a raging sexist. I can't believe you said something that sexist. Levi and I would never say something like
Not
that.
ever.
Not in public.
I would. I'm gonna be authentically myself, and I definitely would.
Yeah, Mike was saying that he would too.
Yeah.
Yes, at times, yes. No, she's not done well questioning. But for me, if I'm a Republican and I'm watching Elizabeth Warren freak out and I'm watching Bernie Sanders freak out, if I was on the fence, I'm voting for RFK Jr. I'm like, I'll take him.
Yeah.
If he gives them that much heartburn, done. I'll take him.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to have to spend so much time trying to figure out, do we go after Pete Hegseth? Do we go after RFK Jr.? Do we go after Christina? Who do we go? Oh, wait, we still got to go after Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still trying to figure out as Democrats who's in charge of the party and what the message should be.
Yeah.
And so I'm dying laughing right now. I haven't watched Democrats be this unorganized probably in my entire life. It might have been this way after Reagan walloped Jimmy Carter and Mondale, but I have not seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it just harkens back to the scene of My Cousin Vinny, where you've got Vinny questioning witnesses and you've got the other attorney who has a speech impediment questioning witnesses, and the guy stands up at the end of the failed questioning on one half and the successful questioning on the other half and says, I want that guy.
I want that guy.
And when you make it really easy, I mean, you can't be mad when people choose the option that you don't like.
Yes.
You're just making it too easy.
I completely agree with. And the Democrats are making it way too easy. They're not scoring points by having anything logical.
Mm-mm.
And they're so mad and emotional about it. It doesn't sell.
Well, like Selena Gomez. Did you guys see the Selena Gomez video?
I saw the Selena
where she's
Gomez.
bawling and she's the children. Meanwhile, I haven't seen a single child deported. Granted, I haven't seen every single deportee in the past week and a half, but it's all been like full grown criminals with a huge rap sheet that I've seen reported on, that have actually been arrested and deported. I haven't seen any children. Meanwhile, she's not crying a single tear for American children that are being used, abused, and murdered at the hands of these illegal immigrants, the victims of these criminals that are being arrested and deported. She's not crying about them. Plus, she's also whining, I want to help and I can't. You're a billionaire.
She's a paid actor. She's a paid actor.
Barely paid.
All right, so I got to correct a mistake I made.
Makeup mogul now.
I said 74,000 new media requests, 7,400.
7,400.
74, which is still more than the room will hold.
Carry the one, drop
over.
a zero. You got it.
I was doing Blake math. I was over there doing Blake
was my
math. And, I was trying not to throw you under the bus. You've had a successful day. I was trying to make it a whole day of being successful.
You got to keep me humble, Mike. That's your job.
No, but yeah, Selena Gomez crying over that whenever there are people who will never see their children again or their loved ones again because somebody who was in the country illegally killed them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're on the wrong side of this issue.
Yeah.
You can feel sorry for someone who came here illegally, but you ought to stand up for the Americans first that have died because of these stupid policies. Supposedly, the guy that was in charge of the Venezuelan gang in Aurora, Colorado, got arrested yesterday.
I'm heartbroken.
In New York City. Do you know what he was doing, supposedly trying to do in New York City?
Good, no.
Buy grenades.
Awesome.
Buy grenades. So,
wait,
Selena, where do you want that
in New
guy?
York City, but you can buy grenades? What the actual...
So here's the other thing. Selena, how many of these friends that might be deported have you invited to your house?
Yeah.
Not to clean it, not to cut the grass, not to do the shrubs.
Which is what they always bring up, and it's so racist.
How many have you invited there and said, I want you to stay here with me and be safe here? Yeah. How many? Because if it's zero, you cry the river all you want, but it's BS.
But Josh also points out it's not just American children, American citizens that are being used and abused. There are, last I heard, hundreds of thousands, maybe tens of thousands of children that are just missing. That we know that cross the border illegally that are just missing.
The number that I heard,
it's wild.
Multiples, either 200,000 or 400,000 kids that have gone missing.
It's insane.
Supposedly, in the last 8-9 days, the Trump administration has found 75,000 of them. So the question is, if Trump's administration, who just got to the office, who just learned what their passwords were on their computers,
week and a half,
could find 75,000 of them, how could the Biden administration not find any of them?
How could they lose them to begin with?
I'm okay with that, too.
I thought they were supposed to care so much. I thought it was the loving and compassionate thing to let these children into our country and to just let them go missing and nobody's finding them. Again, what the actual F is going on?
Also, along this line, Trump signed the Laken-Riley Act into law today. His first piece of legislation, first one coming out. I mean, if that doesn't signal to people it's a change, we're doing this differently. Look, you have a right to try to immigrate to countries you want to, but right now I could give you a whole list of countries that I'm not welcoming.
Yeah.
Great Britain being one of them. Because of what we just talked about on this show. I'm not welcome, right? I'm not.
Yeah.
They're not going to let me immigrate there if they go back and watch a couple of years of this show.
No, not me.
Especially when I tell them not my royals, right?
Yeah, you're the meanest one.
I'm the meanest one on this whole thing. So, but I look at that and I think, it's absolutely ridiculous. We have laws, enforce the laws. In the one state right now, well, there's a couple. I mean, I think Washington State is doing some crazy stuff, and Illinois and Chicago. I'm going to promise you the illegals that want to stay are going to figure out if I go to these two areas that I might be protected. And I still think this is the complete, it's not like it was pre-Biden. There's 11 million new illegals. So if the rest of the country says we're okay with the policy and you're the 2 or 3 places that say, no, you're safe here. I don't care if 5% of them go there. That's 500,000 people in each place that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's going to overwhelm your services. It's going to overwhelm your system. And the people that were screaming for it are going to be like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that we should deny all federal funds to sanctuary cities, sanctuary states.
It's the best way to handle it.
100% zero federal funds going. I mean, that's what Trump just did with medical facilities providing quote unquote gender affirming care to minors, is he's denying federal funding and federal accreditation to those facilities.
So the other one is voter ID laws, forcing the states to have voter ID laws.
Yeah.
I can tell you California would pass it and probably not enforce it because they, I mean, to me, it's ridiculous that California takes longer than any other state to count. And every time they go long on the count, it may be 1 out of 10 that a Republican wins. It's the Democrat always wins. So, I'm a statistics guy. That's a statistic that just doesn't hold up over time.
Yeah.
It's like the Chiefs winning and winning and winning and winning.
I mean, that statistic is showing to hold up over time.
Dang it. I've got one for you. So last minute drives.
Oh, I heard this statistic.
Where your team is down.
Yep.
Do you know what Brady's percentage is?
It's down or it's last minute drives to win the game or tie it.
Yep.
And Brady was 4 of 11, 40% or something like
40. It ended up being 46%.
40%.
I thought it was like 4 and 7.
Drew Brees was higher at 5 and 10.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes, after going into last Sunday's game, he was 7 of 7. He is now, if they're calling that a game-winning drive, he is now 8 of 8.
Yes.
100%.
Good gracious.
That is a crazy, crazy statistic for a clutch moment in a sport like football.
You know the last playoff game he lost?
Was to Tom Brady, probably in the Super Bowl.
I think it was to Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's the only one that's
in the
beaten
Super Bowl.
Mahomes in the playoffs.
Yes.
I did see that stat. Ooh.
Yes.
I posted a meme today on my sports betting page. I have a meme page that I run. And it was the scene from Talladega Nights where they're sitting at the table and he goes, hey, man, what do you think about slingshot me to let me win one time? And it's supposed to be him and Josh Allen talking. And he goes, yeah, but if you win, then I wouldn't win. And he's like, you're right, man. You're right.
It's a wonderful meme. I do think Joe Burrow beat him one time. But here's the other stat. Since because the Bengals went and lost to the Rams, but I'm not sure if he was a starter then. I think he was. But Patrick Mahomes has made it to the AFC Championship game every year that he has been a starting quarterback.
Wild.
Every single year. So you might as just go, okay, Mahomes is still starting at the end of the season. I'll take the Chiefs all the way to the
AFC Championship.
The AFC Championship.
Yep.
I'll take them there. It's silly not to at this point.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And guess what? They're going to win the Super Bowl again.
I give them a pretty good chance unless Saquon Barkley just runs for 300 yards.
They're going to win the Super Bowl again. Jalen Hurts can't throw the football. He actually threw the ball well on Sunday, but he threw the ball well against a very, very, very young Commanders team that overachieved what their season should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Like them going that far was a win for their season. So, and the Commanders gave them the ball in their own territory 3 separate times. So you don't have to have solid offense when you're getting the ball in the other team's 40, 30, and 20.
Yep.
So I just don't see a world where the Chiefs lose.
You know nothing about it. Do you want to
I just stand by I think Travis Kelce retires if they win. But a part of me is like, if you're that high level and you're still in the groove and you're still healthy, do you continue on until you lose a Super Bowl just so you can not only set the record, but you can make it harder to beat? I could see him being that kind of guy.
What's wild is throughout Mahomes' career, Travis Kelce has been his go-to in the playoffs for big plays. He didn't even use him on Sunday.
Yeah.
Didn't even use him. He's got all these young receivers that are really, really talented. And the biggest thing for the Chiefs, their downfall has always been their defense. It's always been their question mark in the playoffs. This year, their defense has been their savior, has won them games at the end in close games. And yes, people say they get help from the refs. Sure, I would agree with you that they get the benefit of the doubt when calls come, but they've earned that right. They've earned that right to get the benefit of the doubt for the calls. So, people love to meme that the refs and Patrick Mahomes are in bed together and yada, yada, all this. The bottom line is they've earned that right. He's earned that right. And we are watching the greatest football player, the greatest start to a career for a football player in the history of the NFL.
Yes.
Okay, so Patrick Mahomes has fallen short 3 times in the playoffs if you count Super Bowl games. So once was AFC Championship in 2018 to Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Once was Super Bowl 55 to Tom Brady. And once was Burrow in 22 AFC Championship.
AFC Championship, yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't know things, but I can Google.
You can Google. And listen, why don't you just tell everyone what you really want to see is Travis Kelce retire. The wedding of the millennia with him and Taylor Swift, and then their own reality TV show. That's what you really want to see.
Are they engaged yet?
No, and the question is, if he wins the Super Bowl, will she get a ring also? But that was the question last year also. So who knows? I don't know. That's what my daughter
You mean
is
a
hoping
Super Bowl
for.
ring or a ring to be married ring?
Exactly. He gets the ring, the Super Bowl ring.
Yes.
She gets an engagement ring.
Yeah, that's just
But I don't know.
women wishful thinking.
Why wouldn't you?
Let's ask a young man, Levi, if you won the Super Bowl, would you give an engagement ring to your girlfriend the next day? The same day? At the Super Bowl? Would you pull it out of your pads after the game and give her the ring and ask her to marry you?
I don't think she would like that. So I would say no.
Okay.
But I could see athletes
Not in
doing that.
moment.
I could see, well, that would be the moment to do it, would be right after you won. If you won MVP or something, maybe you have it there just in case. Like,
Yes.
hey, I just won MVP.
Sure,
So now
won
I have
MVP.
the spotlight on the stage for my MVP speech. Let me propose. But that would be it. Taylor Swift is so much bigger than him. It really doesn't matter.
And
I
how
don't
big
know.
a ring would you have to get Taylor Swift?
I don't know.
I mean,
We're
seriously.
you're assuming that she's materialistic. Maybe she's not materialistic. What he should do is, if he proposes, he should pull out a Pfizer vaccine and just jab her with one of those.
He's been quiet about that ever since they got together. All this talk reminds me of a video I just saw. Evidently, it's a couple years old, though. There was a Belarus soccer player,
Mm-hmm.
Vladislav Shabovic. He wins a game. His girlfriend runs out to him on the field. He gets down on his knee. A security person comes to get the girlfriend away from him while he's just saying, "Will you marry me?" And he shoves the security guard out of the way.
What country was this?
As a Belarus soccer player.
I did not know Barney Fife had family there. Because that's exactly what Barney Fife would have done. You have no idea who Barney Fife even is, do you?
Nope.
I got to get past the ad and then I can show you the video.
How about the Paul brothers announcing that they're going to fight each other?
Well,
Logan
no one else is
Paul
gonna
and
fight
Jake
with them.
Paul fighting on HBO Max, scheduled for later this year.
Are you going to watch that?
I'm going to watch it, but I'm not getting duped again like I did the first 2 times and betting someone to get knocked out. I'm definitely betting them to go the distance and for Jake Paul to win because it's a setup. It's a setup. It's a ploy. It's a famous. They've done this in the past twice. They got me both times with the Floyd Mayweather fight and the Mike Tyson fight. It is going the distance and Jake Paul's winning.
George W. quote out on you. Here's the soccer player proposing.
Yeah, fool me once.
So he gets down on his knee.
Mm-hmm.
There's his girlfriend. The security guard pushes her, and he's about to beat the snot out of that security guard.
Wow.
Dude, he's like, read the room. I'm down on my knee, dude.
Guys, like, I was homeless 2 hours ago. They just asked me to do I don't even know what I'm doing.
They just gave me a vest.
They just said nobody touches the guy in yellow. He does, and actually get to propose to her. She comes back, and they get their moment.
And then it's memorable.
Momentous interruptus.
So
no good.
I have a question for you. First of all, did you win at golf today?
We did win at golf today. I actually played really well, which I was excited about because with golf, you never know. Could be your worst day. Most of the times it's really bad. Sometimes it's good.
Yes.
And it was good today.
Usually the best shot you hit is like the last shot and you're like, okay, I'll come back and play again.
I was hitting the ball well today.
Good.
I was actually 6 over through 12 when I left. So,
and your team won.
My team won.
That's a basketball championship and a golf championship. What are you playing next week?
More basketball.
More basketball.
More
Yeah,
basketball.
The league's back on again?
Another league, but yeah. Hey, listen, if I don't play basketball, I won't do cardio and I will be 600 pounds.
My Darcy would always look at me and she'd go, you just ended the season. I said, yeah, but City League starts next week.
Yep, exactly.
Well, I thought you'd be home for a while. I'm home this week. Next week, City League.
I'm playing in 2 leagues right now, one here in St. Johns County and one in Jacksonville.
So I have another question for you, probably a more important question. Online gambling has just blown up the last 10 years.
Yep.
Do you think it's a problem? I mean, basically, if you watch ads on some of these games now, every other ad is a gambling ad.
Yep.
So do you think it's a problem? And do you see how it can become an addicting problem for people who all of a sudden they don't have I'm only going to bet so much. And all of a sudden they just continue to bet more and more money. So what's your thoughts on it? How are your friends dealing with it? The younger generation.
Okay. So this is very interesting because as you know, I don't know if the audience knows, but I run a sports gambling Discord with over 3,000 members in it. And what we teach in there is how to gamble on sports responsibly. The main thing we teach, the first tab when you join is how to manage your bankroll. And then we have a gambling hotline as well there. So it can be profitable, but as far as what you're talking about with the psychology of it, yes, gambling can be addicting for some people, but the way I find it is if you have an addictive personality, you're going to get addicted to things regardless. So if we look at human history, right? Gambling on sporting events, especially, not necessarily online casinos, which give you a lot more access and ways to lose your money. I would stay away from those. I would recommend people to stay away from online casinos, but sports gambling and having access to them online, I think you need to make it federally legal. Humans have been gambling on sporting events since before the Bible was even written. And, it's part of human nature to bet on things. It makes it more exciting. I personally enjoy it. Can it be addicting? Yes. Do I think it's a negative thing? I don't think it's negative. And here's why. If you look at successful people, a lot of entrepreneurs that are high risk, high reward entrepreneurs willing to risk it all to build a business, they all gamble. Because their risk tolerance is so high. So I can see where gambling can help you build your risk tolerance if I wanted to look at it glass half full. But does it have a negative effect? Absolutely. People move out to Vegas thinking they're going to become professional gamblers and they end up under a bridge. So it's all about risk tolerance. It's all about risk tolerance.
And see, I feel like I satisfy the risk tolerance in I own my own business. Every day I literally walk up to the abyss, put my toes over the edge of the cliff and go, okay, that's kind of cute down there. And then if I make it at the end of the day, I'm fine. But I mean, I do that. I just never could bet on sports. I know there's a lot of people I talk to, oh, this is really fun. And I bet X amount of dollars and I have this bet and that bet. And it's all the side bets that are kind of fun for them. But for me, I don't mind betting on sports. I mean, Troy and I have had 35 years of sports bets. but it's always lunch.
Yeah.
That's the most amount of money that I'm willing to gamble. Now, today, that's a lot more money than it used to be 35 years ago for lunch, but I'd rather go sit and talk to you afterwards than be online and the reward is I get some money from somebody I don't know, and the risk is I lose some money to somebody. I'd rather take you to lunch than do that. So.
Here's what I compare it to, right? I compare it to trading. So people get online with their life savings and think they're going to become a day trader. They trade in crypto meme coins. They trade in blue chip stocks. They trade in penny stocks, and they lose all their money. It's no different than that. Betting sports is the exact same thing as trading. In trading, you're betting on a company. In sports, you're betting on players or a team. So I would almost argue that with sports, you have more knowledge at your fingertip to make an educated guess, more so than betting on the stock market. The stock market, I'm not sitting in the board of directors meetings. I don't know the ins and outs of that company that I'm betting on, that I'm buying stock in. In sports, I know the athlete if they're hurt. I know who performs well on the road. I know who likes to party. I know who goes out the night before games. I know who has an alcohol problem. You can find out all that in sports. You can't find that out when you're betting on a company that to do well in the stock market.
Yeah.
So I would almost argue that if you do it correctly, it can be a more profitable avenue than gambling in the stock market.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the stock market either for the same reason. I just don't control stuff. So I'm not. How much gambling do you do? I know you have 3 children and a husband who's got multiple jobs. Is gambling keeping your family afloat?
No. But you mentioned gambling in the Bible, and there's a notable time when gambling appears in the Bible, and that's at the cross.
Yep.
Jesus is on the cross, and the Roman soldiers liked the clothes that he discarded or were discarded before he was nailed to the cross, and they cast lots for his clothes, which is kind of like rolling dice to see who wins his clothes.
Yep.
So you're right. Gambling has been a human universal for all of time.
All of time.
Even happened at the foot of the cross.
And obviously with all of these things, whether it's drinking, drugs, women, gambling, any number of things, right? There are certain people that handle those well. And there's other people that just handle it horribly. I mean, Barbara Jean's talking about her father completely selling the family, right? Over gambling. So, that's kind of the unfortunate thing is, we're all weak as human beings, and some of us, different things affect us. And so, the gambling is, I look at it, just all the advertising of it. And I'm like, there's probably people that are trying to, I know tons of people like, oh yeah, I bet $50 on this game and that game. And I'm like, and my neighbor's going to come across the street this week and he's going to do the squares. And there's so few of us in the neighborhood that play the squares. Like if I give him $50 or $60, I'm probably going to get my $50 or $60 back.
Right.
Right. I mean, one year I won 3 times. So I'm like, okay, I can gamble with him for 3 more years and I'm still dead even. I'm good. But yeah, it's just,
it's human psychology, right? Yeah. Because if you have someone that has an addictive personality, I don't care what it is, if it's gambling, if it's eating junk food, if it's drinking alcohol, if it's smoking cigarettes, if it's doing drugs, it's gonna, if you're smart with your money, you can be a good gambler. If you're not smart with your money, you're probably not going to be a good gambler. If you can't control yourself around cigarettes and alcohol, you probably can't control yourself around gambling. It comes down to your personality traits. And so like, it's just like anything else in the world. If someone's bad with their money, they're probably going to be bad at gambling. Simple as that. So.
All right. Speaking of helping people, we got an extra read to do. Helping Jimmy Jam Community Outreach offer a hand up, not a handout, to one of the good ones, young Troy. He's recovering from ankle surgery for an injury he suffered while volunteering at this year's Jimmy Jam Barbecue Slam. He will be out of work for up to 12 weeks. Ankle injuries are a bear. $15 rib dinner with 2 sides, $25 brisket dinner with 2 sides, $35 for a full slab of ribs. Pre-order online at jimmyjamoutreach.com. That's jimmyjamoutreach.com, and help them out. It's an amazing. The only thing you didn't tell us is the day. I think
you want to get your orders in before February 10th.
Before February 10th.
Get your orders in before February 10th.
Right.
While we're on food.
And you pick it up on the 16th.
On the 16th.
Yeah.
Yep.
While we're on food, I went and had lunch last Saturday at the new cheese wheel.
Yeah.
That just opened back up.
That was the wheel.
The Wheel. That's what they're called now, The Wheel. And it's owned by her grandchildren now, correct?
I believe you're 100% right.
Yes. And it is just like the original one that I grew up eating with my parents.
Yeah.
So quick backstory. My dad's from St. Augustine. Well, he's not from here, but he moved here way back when.
Second ship. When Pedro came, he sent for second ship, and Jerry was on it.
He's been here since the Volano Bridge was wooden, if that gives you guys an idea. So he was very close.
So he's on his third Volano Bridge.
Yes, correct.
Okay, got it.
So he was, the cheese wheel was his spot. He was good friends with the owners, and we used to go there 3 to 4 times a week when I was younger. And after it changed hands so many times, we just kind of stopped going. And now that it's back in the original family's hands with the original menu items, we went in there. My parents went. I took the girlfriend. We all went. I got the turkey rider, which is always my go-to.
Yep.
And it was great. Phenomenal. Great location. Packed out. The city showed up for it. And it's great. It's right next to Epic Movie Theater. So, which is also redone. Is now a fancy movie theater. So
it is
awesome.
a fancy, but the seats are, I feel like Gilda Radner in the old Saturday Night Live series where she's sitting in the big chair. Because I sit in the chair and my feet can't touch the floor. And I'm like, okay,
well, get taller, Mike.
I know I'm an average 5'9.5", but oh my gosh. So
I'll let you start using my inversion table at the house and maybe you'll get 3 inches to your height.
Get that extra half.
Yeah.
So glad Davey's not here for this discussion. All right. Amanda, will you look up, I think Fine won the district that Michael Waltz vacated.
Okay.
And then there's somebody in the Panhandle that retired. I can't think of their name, who was a congressperson. And I think Jimmy Petronas, who used to be our CFO in the state of Florida, won his. But I'm just curious. Those were 2 pretty heavily Republican districts. We talked about it the other day because a little bit of St. Johns County, probably about 10 or 12 of the southern districts only voted in that race. The majority of it was Flagler County, Volusia County, where Waltz was from. While you're doing that, I got amendment information in the mail. Allow adults 21 and older to possess, purchase, or use marijuana for non-medical consumption. Then it goes through a whole bunch of stuff, and it says, see a separate document for the full text. But they did not send me the full text of this bill. They sent me one blank one and one addressed to one of my children who doesn't live in the house anymore. So the medical marijuana is not going away. They're trying to get back on the ballot for the next cycle.
For recreational, right?
For recreational. That's correct. Where do you stand on this?
I think if you allow adults to drink alcohol, you should allow them to smoke weed. If you look at the effects of alcohol on the brain, for example, I'll use teachers as a perfect example. If a teacher goes home and is an alcoholic, and then they can come in and teach our children the next day, they're hungover, they probably have aggressive tendencies. I'm not saying every alcoholic does, but these are reoccurring signs we see in alcoholism. You don't have those with marijuana. If someone wants to go home and smoke a joint, they should be allowed to go home and smoke a joint. That's my opinion. I also grew up in the younger generation where everyone was smoking weed. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they were in y'all's generation too.
Not around me.
Not around me.
Really?
Yeah.
So I used to use marijuana recreationally.
Yeah.
And I don't anymore. I have used it medically. Is that how I would say it? Medically.
Medicinally.
I've used it medicinally for muscle soreness after playing basketball when I played in college and stuff.
That's probably CBD non.
No. It's THC.
All right.
Yeah. But I mean, was I allowed to use it? If I got tested, I would have gotten in trouble. But they were trying to give, for example, I had knee surgery. They were trying to give me painkillers. I don't want to be on opioids. I would rather use pot than opioids. So
said Ricky Williams right before he retired.
Yeah, and Ricky Williams should have been allowed to use weed. A lot of the NFL guys, NFL doesn't test for it anymore. NBA doesn't test for it anymore.
I wonder why. I'm just kidding.
Because it's better than the painkillers are shoving down the players' throats.
I am not going to disagree with that. Right? I've watched people with pain, be on painkillers because of injuries or a bad back or something, and watch them just struggle to get off of that. Rush Limbaugh was a prime example, right? I mean, Rush got caught with all the pain pills because he had a back injury, and it was a very rough thing for him. So I never really understood addiction. It's ironic we're talking about this today because 30 years ago, I had my back surgery for a herniated disc. The weeks before I was on Vicodin, I didn't need a watch. I knew exactly what time it was by how I felt. And it's the first time I really understood, okay, this is what addiction is like. And it's not that I needed another pill. It's just that I knew my body was in an incredible amount of pain. And if I got the other pill in another 2 hours or whatever it was, I'd feel better. And I told my wife, I said, I can see how somebody could easily get addicted to this if you're doing pain management.
Yep.
They gave me extra Vicodin on the way home. I never had it. After the surgery, never had one. I was like, I don't want to be anywhere near this. I don't want to see anyone. And the stories were out at the time about Brett Favre taking Vicodin and then throwing it back up, picking it up out of the throw up and swallowing it back again. Mike Krzyzewski had stories about it as well, right? Because he had a back injury roughly around that same time. And he was out for a season and just his dealing with all of the opioids as well. So I'm with you. I don't think that's the best thing for a lot of people. It did handle the pain, but I don't think it's great for your body.
Right. Yeah. The recreational use of marijuana, the media, the mainstream media likes to tie, or has for the past, as long as I've been alive, tied it in with all these other drugs. Like it's a gateway drug. It's this, it's that. All that is BS. It's not. Like if you show me a pothead, I'll show you someone who is not confrontational, not violent, if they're driving if they're driving, they're not going to speed. If anything, they're going to go below the speed limit because it slows down the mechanisms. It doesn't trigger aggression or anything like that.
Well,
so
alcohol slows down your neural processing as well, and
makes people aggressive though too, because it's a depressant.
It slows you down, and so any kind of intoxicant is going to make you not make the right decisions.
Right. But I would agree with you that you shouldn't be operating a motor vehicle while you're high. Mm-hmm. But I also think that compared to alcohol, it is a saint of an intoxicant. Like it's not what it does to your body compared to alcohol is like they're tenfold different. Like alcohol's so bad for you and we just allow everyone to consume it.
The counterpoint would be that anything that has any plant that has sugar in it breaks down to alcohol. So alcohol and humans have coexisted, and so we process alcohol. It's one drink is gone in an hour. So we process it very efficiently. Whereas weed, we do have receptors that react to THC, but our brains have not co-evolved, for lack of a better term, with THC the same way it has with alcohol because it wasn't ubiquitous across the planet. Not everyone used it the same way. So it takes up to 7 days for THC to be completely eliminated neurologically
from
speaking.
The system. Yeah.
And so it's not the same kind of body process. So it can impair your judgment for up to 7 days. So that's the argument against it. And there's also, it's not a huge percentage of the population, but there is a percentage of the population that has rage fits only on cannabis. And that's just a fact. It's not, like I said, it's not a huge percentage of the population, but a lot of people think that the dude that ate the guy's face in Miami was on bath salts because that's what the media reported. When toxicology came back, the only thing he was on was weed. The only thing he was on was weed. There's a certain percentage of the population that has psychotic breaks on THC, and there's no way to know whether that's going to be you or not. So it's not the same. So I don't think it should be handled the same, but that's just me. There's no way we can easily do a breathalyzer test to see if you're impaired with alcohol. We don't have that same capability. So until we have a more efficient system for testing intoxication, then there are a lot of downsides to legalized marijuana. You end up with edibles everywhere, hospital visits for children, ODing on THC skyrocketed in Colorado when they legalized it. The number of people that OD'd on THC because of edibles and
are bad.
college students jumping out of hotel windows, the kind of stuff we would hear in Daytona Beach and Panama City Beach during spring break, we're now hearing in cities with college students where THC is legal and cannabis is legal. So, it's not a net positive. It's it's not like there are no downsides. So caution should be used, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I would love to see the studies on it, because what we know is that, and this is coming from someone that's used it quite a bit, edibles are totally different from smoking weed. So your body goes through a different process of breaking down the THC, which causes people to have those freakouts. Because I know people that have completely changed after they've had edibles. I've know people that I've taken to the hospital because they thought they were going to die when they were on edible. They thought they were having a heart attack. So edibles, I agree with you that they're terrible. In my opinion, they're terrible.
But now there's strands of marijuana that have ridiculous amounts of THC compared to the weed that people were smoking in the 60s and 70s.
For sure.
Because of genetic modification and selective breeding of plants. There's now it's like going into a coffee shop and having all of these different strains, and they're all named silly. So there's not a standardized dose when you're smoking a joint. Like, you don't know which strain you have. You don't know how much THC is about to hit your system. So trying to mitigate dosing is a lot different. It's a lot more challenging than mitigating your dosing with alcohol. It's not as easy as potheads or peaceful, calm people. Most of them are, not all. And it's not as easy as, one joint is cool for all people. It just isn't with the variety of strains there are out there.
So here's my other thing on the medical side, right? Having done a little
I'm
bit
more
of research,
medicinal than recreational.
Well, no, this is so the marijuana that has THC, right, or the higher THC contents, and not the CBD. Our brains don't fully develop until we're about 23, 24, right? And there's been lots of studies that show that smoking marijuana at a younger age reduces brain development.
Yeah, for sure.
And increases the chance for psychotic break.
And so what happens is if you allow, and this is crazy, but if you allow people 18 to 21 to smoke pot, you're allowing them to do far more damage to their brain than they would do if they were drinking alcohol, right?
Don't cigarettes do the same thing though?
I don't think cigarettes do the same. It impairs cognitive function. It
doesn't have the same link to psychotic breaks.
So you lose that. Now, fortunately, some of the studies said these kids that quit smoking pot, over a period of time, their brain functions return to normal. Smoking pot after 24, 25, 26 has a different impact on brain function because your brain is fully developed. So if there's some science there that we're going to look at, and that's kind of what some of the studies have shown out of different countries, you ought to at least put the restriction at a point where we're not allowing people to damage brain function.
I would agree.
At an early age, right? So that sounds kind of really, weird. We're going to make this a 26-year-old thing. But if that's what the science shows, and that's when the development of most people's brains is fully functioning, you ought to at least tell people, hey, you're doing this, but this is cognitively could hurt you. And if that's the case, people at least ought to be aware of that. Most people don't talk about that. They'll talk about, well, it's safer than alcohol, or it's safer than this drug or that drug. Yeah, I mean, it certainly is, right? I mean, all of those drugs can be abused. But I do believe that's something that we need to get into the discussion and say at a younger age, you're more susceptible to danger from this drug than at an older age, right? Somebody who's 80 years old smoking pot, probably not going to do a whole lot of damage to themselves. Same with alcohol, right? There becomes a point where you're like, yeah, if that makes you feel better at 85, yeah, you're good.
I mean, recent studies on alcohol have shown that it's way more harmful than we've been led to believe.
I think there is going to be a downward trend in alcohol. I think you're going to see sales continue to drop. You're going to see sales drop because the younger generation is leaving alcohol at a very fast. If I was in the alcohol industry producing alcohol, and I looked at my future customers that were running away from it, I would be figuring out what are they going to. It's just like Coca-Cola. A lot of people drank Cokes and Diet. People have left the Coca-Cola market. I mean, Coca-Cola and Pepsi are selling more water than they are Coca-Cola. And so I think alcohol companies got to start looking at, well, what product can we put out there that people will buy that doesn't have this same amount of negative impact on their bodies because people are getting healthier and healthier.
You know what I'm seeing pop up now that you mentioned that as an alcohol alternative on social media, because that's where you market to people my age, is CBD infused drinks that taste like alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol replacements.
Replacements. And I haven't tried one, so I can't speak on it from a experimental standpoint for myself. But they claim that it gives you like the same buzz that people are looking for in alcohol, but I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen the ads.
Yeah,
right? I've seen, I quit drinking alcohol, but I'm still getting the same feeling. And they take a sip. Just wait for about 20 minutes. And okay, you're not helping. This is not where I want to go. I don't want to be in some psychotic-induced coma, state of euphoria, whatever that is. But I do think you're going to see a lot of non-alcoholic brands. I mean, I'm telling you this because my daughter is running a company that's got a non-alcoholic sparkling wine.
Yeah,
right? It's made from a Spanish Chardonnay, and it's very good. It's very expensive. I've looked at some of the non-alcoholic bourbons just out of curiosity, just to see what's out there. There's not a lot out there. I'll be willing to bet you in 5 years, there's brands everywhere.
But people don't drink alcohol because they like the taste of it. They drink alcohol because they like the feeling they get from it.
Not entirely.
Entirely. The majority, 99% of the population, if you look at people in general, right, and you break it down, almost 90% of the population across the globe has some kind of stimulant that they take to stimulate their brain, that they ingest, they put in their body to change the way that they feel.
Well, caffeine is a stimulant.
Caffeine's a stimulant, exactly.
Hey, don't get all preachy here right now.
I mean, sugar is highly addictive and it's a mood altering.
If there's one vice I have, it's caffeine.
I love caffeine.
I'll consume, and I know they say for a healthy individual, 600 milligrams of caffeine is the max you want to do. I can promise you that I do more than that, and I get my blood work done regularly, and my blood work is fantastic. So caffeine is great for me. I've done a cold turkey caffeine fast, and life is better with caffeine.
You'll get a kick out of this. I've always thought this was funny. I was running for office. I was being interviewed by the St. Augustine Record. 3 reporters are in there. I knew all of them. And I was running for the State House. They got on the global warming. And I said, well, first of all, I don't believe it's there. I don't think enough science is there. And this is 12 years ago, right? And I said, it's not there. You can't prove that global warming. Oh, there's tons of evidence, blah, blah, blah. The science has been settled on it. And one of the guys, Peter Ellis, who was asking the questions, had a cup of coffee in front of him. And I said, Peter, science can't figure out your coffee. And coffee in human beings should be a fairly easy thing for science to figure out. But 5 years ago, we're told coffee is harmful for you. Do not drink any coffee. 4 years ago, we're told, well, 2 cups is okay for you. Last year, it was 3 cups will save your life. 1 cup's bad for you. This year, 1 cup is all you should have. I said, those are 4 different studies, 5 different studies in 5 years on coffee. Scientists can't figure out coffee going into the human body. But you're telling me you can figure out the entire stratosphere and atmosphere and what's going on. You can't. His comment was, leave my coffee out of this discussion. Right? So, I mean, I look at it and say, and I'm a big coffee drinker. I think coffee is absolutely awesome. I think it's really good for you. I think it's better for tea. I've done a lot of the research on it. I do think that if you're looking for sugar, it's either honey or it's maple syrup, and you use those two because they're natural. And again, your body can process that. It's the refined sugar that our body cannot process.
Yeah, I was listening to Gary Brecka, who's a human biologist, speak, and he's kind of on the back end of this "Make America Healthy Again" thing. You know, he was at the inauguration. He was a speaker at the party they threw afterwards, the MAHA party that they had, and his method is very simple, and I like it. He said, well, when we look at the blue zones in the world, he said, not all of them have the same diet. Some are Mediterranean diet, some are in Japan, some are this, some are that. He said, the only consistent variable that we find amongst all of them is that it is some type of whole food diet. Where it's not processed. Whether some taking a lot of carbs, but it's day old bread. It's whole food. And he's like, some drink wine and smoke cigarettes, like in Italy, but their diet consists of whole foods. And so if you're looking to be healthier and you're looking to extend your life. It's very simple. Get sunlight, get sleep. Adequate sleep is the number one thing you can do today to help your health improve, and try to eat whole foods. Those are the three main things right there.
Again, I may not know things, but I can Google. The meta-analysis of research on gateway drugs puts caffeine as the first step. Caffeine leads to alcohol and tobacco use. Alcohol and tobacco use open the door to marijuana use, and marijuana opens the door to illicit drugs. That's the gateway, according to the meta-analysis of multiple studies over a long period of time.
Well, they also gave me a food pyramid that turned out to be completely wrong. So
just this isn't government
You know what
funded
kissing
necessarily.
leads to. Do you want me to go through the whole list of what kissing leads
what
to?
a meta-analysis is a meta-analysis is looking at lots and lots and lots of studies,
right,
and synthesizing what that data says. So this
right.
isn't one study funded by this person or that person. This is looking across the spectrum of multiple studies and determining what they all mean together.
Andy came out, had a question. I hope ice cream is a whole food. I thought it was as a young person. I still think ice cream is amazing for you, but
depends on the ingredients.
It does depend on the ingredients. A friend of ours who went to dinner Sunday night, very health conscious and food conscious, but they had a coconut ice cream.
Yeah,
So good. And so I have to tell you, it was. Yeah. I consider myself an ice cream aficionado.
Right?
I can taste
I love ice cream.
Yeah, but the difference is my brain freeze isn't permanent.
Yeah, that's
so true. I have that over the former president. But that ice cream is amazing. There was vanilla and chocolate. Both of them were off the chain. And they sell it at Publix.
What I've done to, because I love ice cream. I grew up every single night growing up. My parents let me have an ice cream sundae, and I took advantage of it. So I consider myself an ice cream connoisseur, as you do.
I did not know your family was Davis's. That is a Davis tradition.
That was a tradition.
Ice cream at night before bed. You're going to bed? Yes, it's time for your ice cream.
Yep. So what I've done now to substitute ice cream is I freeze Greek yogurt. I freeze Greek yogurt, and then I'll put blueberries in it, fresh strawberries in it, mix it up, put honey on top of it.
No chocolate chips?
I will. I'll actually put dark chocolate chips in it now. Dark chocolate chips in it now. I try to keep them to a minimum, but dark chocolate, in moderation can be beneficial.
I've heard that you can make an excellent fake ice cream out of avocado and coconut powder. I'm allergic to avocado, so I haven't tried it, but I've heard that it tastes just
You're
like
allergic to avocado?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. I eat avocado with every meal.
So much of healthy eating nowadays is I can't have bananas, I can't have avocado.
Yeah, it's like the number one healthy fat for you outside of the healthy fats from meats.
Yep, I'm screwed.
Yes. The other is beef tallow.
Beef tallow. So interesting thing. I know we're over our time.
We're way over, but we're in overtime, baby.
But another thing I heard because I watched the speeches from the Make America Healthy Again thing. Yeah, the Maha speeches. And one thing that I took away from it, he said, if you can't ingest it, like if you're not going to eat it, then don't put it on your skin. And that beef tallow is supposed to be one of the best things for your skin.
For moisturizing your
skin.
And making your skin look
coconut
healthy.
Oil, those things. So I'd never heard that before. If you can't eat it, it probably shouldn't be on your skin.
Yeah, I've heard that. That ruins lots of makeup, and that's hard.
Exactly.
Jimmy Patronis and Randy Fine, they both won the primaries.
That's what I thought. They were both big Trump people, and we didn't get a whole lot of news here.
They won by a lot.
Yes. Jimmy Jam, go online at Jimmy Jam, outreach.com, order your barbecue dinner. They got a $15 dinner, $25 dinner, and a $35 full slab of ribs. And this is all for young Tony, who
Young Troy.
Sorry, Troy. I have not my glasses on. Sorry, Troy. Young Troy. It's so hard for me to say young and Troy in the same sentence.
Not old Troy.
Do you know how hard that is for me to say?
Prospector
I have been
Troy.
saying Prospector Troy for 12 years since he started that ugly, grotesque beard of his.
So this is young Troy.
Yes. So, but anyway, reach a great cause. Order by February the 10th. Pick up on the 16th of February at Melvin's Repair Shop.
Yep.
All right.
Awesome.
Great show today.
Yeah, it was.
I actually brought some content, and you weren't a little cocky and obnoxious after your appearance on the morning show. So that was really fun. So I want to appreciate you for being
those
humble.
backhanded compliments that you're so
You're
famous
so
for.
humble. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow night with the Bollocks Boys.
Thank you. Take care.